Morning, everyone. So I'm on my way down to Sussex for my head office, basically. It's about say about a 75-mile journey. Um, so I thought I'd take the opportunity whilst in the car to record this week's episode, and I was thinking about some of my previous ones. So mainly one of my early ones, which was I live in a flat, but I own an electric car, and some of the early ones. And I just thought it'd be good to.
Second exit and continue to follow A505 towards Luton.
Thanks, Satnav. I thought it would be a good idea to go back after over a year of ownership now of my BMW i3, and the fact that I still don't have home charging, and how I've got on since, really. So stick around. So when I first bought the i3, which was approximately February time 2018, so just over a year ago, I'd driven a couple of electric cars before, nothing long term, more kind of loans or test drives, things like that, things like the Leaf, the Ionic. None at the time really fitted. My boss had a couple of Teslas, which was obviously very impressive, but completely outside of my price range. Now, it was very much a leap of faith going this, and I could never find the right car. I was in a situation where I had to replace my car. I'd lost confidence in my previous car due to engine failures and things like that. And I decided to take the leap, and the i3 kind of caught my eye, took it out for a test drive, absolutely loved it. So there was a few things that really I loved about the i3. Fast forward kind of over 12 months, and I still love it. I still love this car. This car still feels as fresh and great and fun as I first bought it, which is great, because that's exactly what you want to feel when you get into a car every day. Anyway, so the when I first bought the car, I had in my area, I had two chargers. They were in a public car park. They were 7 kilowatt. It was just about enough to get me by, and otherwise the nearest one for me was Ecotricity, which we all know how that is. So starting off was a little bit of a kind of, like I said, a leap of faith in terms of, can I make this work? And even the first month was whether I could make this work or not. I had the same probably issues that most new EV owners had when we first start. Where's my next charge going to be? How can I find it? What app do I use? What card do I use? Can I use contactless payment? All these lovely minefields at the moment that we all have. I was quite lucky in that over the next sort of 6 months of ownership, I had work chargers put in. Where I'm going today, I've got work chargers where my office is based. I also have work chargers, so I'm lucky in that respect now. And that 6 months in, my boss had the foresight to actually put chargers in, mainly for him initially, but then obviously when I came along as well, and future proofing. So that was good. So that was the first step. The next step was that Waitrose opposite me, literally a few hundred yards away from where I live, also had chargers put in. So this was on the Polar network. There was 4 7 kilowatt chargers, which was great. Apart from the manager turning them off at night, it was workable. I could get in there, and still do, get in there about sort of 4 o'clock, go in there, charge for 2 or 3 hours while it's not really busy, so it's not disrupting any normal EV drivers during the day, and away I go. Since then, there's been another 2 chargers put in a multi-story, again, a couple of 100 yards from where I live. So again, this was a bit more expensive. It was sort of, I suppose, council run. I think it was Source East and essentially Genie Point that run it. 7 kilowatt chargers at 30p a kilowatt. So they're my kind of, I suppose, last resort, just because of the expense for those. I don't mind paying 30p per kilowatt for rapid chargers, but 7 kilowatts are a little bit much, to be honest. So they're in there now. And lastly, there was a polar charger that was ultra charger that was put in about 2 or 3 miles away from me in a hotel. So that became quite a frequent charge point for me on the way to and from work, and that provided me with quick 20-minute 80% charges. So within 6 months of me buying the car, infrastructure had improved tremendously for me. That made everything so much easier. The fact that I live in a flat and I can't charge at home just become a non-issue. I knew that if one particular part or one particular charge didn't work, then the others would be there. And I would obviously time certain things, like if I was going to work, I could always plug in at work and generally have a couple of days worth of charge. It's worth noting, I travelled about a 70-mile round trip each day. That's reduced somewhat in that I don't do that as much. I probably do that once a week. However, I travel up and down the country, as you've seen in my other videos. You know, it could be Wolverhampton one day, it's Sussex today, it could be Manchester the next day. So whilst my daily commute has changed, my, I suppose, everyday work is quite the same. So so this really has led me to kind of think that, you know, if I can do that, if I can be a person like, you know, there's a couple of other YouTubers that I know that are in the same situation that don't have home charging. Not everyone does. Not everyone has off-street parking, for instance. There's a lot of people that do, and they should utilise that. However, if you can charge from home, do it. If you need to use public charging, then you can. You just have to be sensible about doing it. You have to maybe plan a little bit more, but it's doable. There's no reason why you can't own an electric car now and just use public charging. The charging is getting better every week, every day. Announcements by multiple companies in terms of bringing charging hubs. Charging hubs are for me the future. As you know, check out my previous video on that. But it's going to be something that will certainly make things again so much easier. I saw a story the other day, or I think it was yesterday, around Instavolt. They're putting in I think 8 ultra chargers or rapid chargers in Swaffham. And anyone that knows sort of the Norfolk area is that Norfolk hasn't got a great deal in terms of charging. When I go to Yarmouth, like I'm going to at the end of May, I'll be generally using the Instavolt ones at the Ballantyne gym. So there's 4 in total in Norwich, so we generally use those. But with Swaffham coming in, I'll maybe use that. But back to the ownership, I've not found any issues. I had my 2-year service that because I was on the maintenance plan, cost me nothing. Tyres I've just changed. That was the first tyre change after 2 years of the car being made. No road tax, cheap bills. Literally, I pay anywhere between £25 and £40 a month on electric from public charging, usually the Polar network. Compare that to almost £300 on my diesel car that I used to have. There's just no comparison. The drive is fun. The drive is a lot better. It's quiet. It's modern. It saves you money. And in fact, driving to work for me actually makes me money, which is even better. So that pays for the maintenance and upkeep and tyres and things like that. So it's just good all round. I don't believe in these arguments that that an electric car isn't for me. There's going to be a car that does suit you, and not everyone can make the jump straight away. That's understandable. you know, that you've got to get the right fit. If you're one that does like a traveling salesman and you have to do hundreds of miles every day, although that's a bit crazy because, you know, it's just dangerous. But if you have to do that, then, you know, maybe there's not quite a car there available for you, you know, like Kona and the Nero of 300 odd mile range probably would suit, but it's just a matter of getting hold of them. But for me, everyday people or office commutes or anything like that, there is a car out there that will suit you. Don't be scared of taking the leap. Don't be worried about range. Work out how many miles you do a day, and then the occasional kind of longer trip, and then work out the best one. Worst case, there's loads of people in the EV community on Twitter, on YouTube, like myself, that is more than happy to help. Go to places like Fully Charged Live, go to EV meetups in your area if you see them. And these people are really friendly, so they'll help if you're not sure about anything. So just don't be scared and don't be put off. It's new technology. I always put an electric car back like it's a phone. The first time you went from a crappy old Nokia black and white screen phone to an iPhone, it's huge. It's a huge difference. It's a big learning curve. But to be honest, once you get into an electric car, you never want to go back to a normal ICE car. So my experience has been completely positive around this. There's not been, as far as I can see, any negative things about owning my i3. I love it. In fact, that if there was an incentive towards the end of my my payments for this, of changing the battery for a bigger battery and keeping the car, I'd keep the car. The car's carbon fibre, so it's going to last for ages. If they could say, right, for £5,000, we'll swap your battery and give you 100 more miles range and give me a total of 200 miles, that's brilliant. 200 miles for me is perfect. I don't need 300, 400, 500 miles. 200 miles for me is the absolute great place to be. That means that I'm charging up very minimal time, which means I'm taking up less public charging spots. You know, if I go on long journeys, it's less of an issue. I don't have to stop as much if I don't need to. There's just extra things that it will bring. I've done 23,000 odd miles in a year. Motorway, country lanes, every kind of road, any kind of a weather, between sunny and minus temperatures. The car just performs perfectly, and it's brilliant. If you're thinking about buying an i3 or indeed any electric car, just go for it. Go for a test drive. Use places like Milton Keynes EV Centre. They're brilliant for kind of allowing you to go on test drives and see what best fits for you. There's no hard sell from them either. So, you know, use them as much as you can, and you know that'll hopefully seal the deal for you. But anyway, that's my video for this week. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, please share, please subscribe. If you feel that you can, please check out my Patreon page. There's different tiers, like $1 a month just to support the channel. There's $5 a month if you want to be named on there. If you've got a website or a Twitter or anything you want put in along here, I can do that. And indeed, if you're a business and you want me to advertise something on here, I will, or a review it, I can certainly do that. So until next time, I really hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.